Cyberpunk Edge Runners came out over a month ago, and I wanted to see if I could beat Cyberpunk 2077 with the David Martinez build. I want to be able to advance using close range combat and sandevistan so that I can fight the infamous Atom Smasher and avenge David Martinez. At the start of the game, I wanted to make my character look like David Martinez, but I realized it was going to be hard, so I just ended up only making the hair look the same. The only attributes that I was going to focus on were body and reflexes. After going through a lot of the intro and meeting Jackie, we then had to retrieve a woman from this area. We had to hide behind this corner and not get detected, so I chucked a grenade for good luck. I cleared out the guards with my fists, which was surprisingly a lot easier than I expected. I did have to use a gun when riding with Jackie, but I could not use my gun, so we can excuse this. Once I went up to my apartment, I went to the stash, and I grabbed the katana just in case my fist couldn't get the job done. As I was walking out, I was supposed to meet Jackie Wales, but I said screw that, and I went ahead and did some NCPD work so that I can get the sandevistan. I went to this one area to get more street creds, and this was probably the hardest part yet. The area had dudes on top of the stairs, dudes in the corners, dudes that are net runners. I was shook, but no man puts fear in my heart, so I ended up giving everybody these hands. After going through the same boring brain dance experience with Judy, I bought the sandevistan and couldn't wait to use it. After the deal with the maelstromers went bad, I had to bring out my fists and beat the gang members. During this time, I tried to use the sandevistan, but it didn't work. Since it wasn't working, I had to rely on my fists and juking abilities. I was not doing too bad doing this, but I was still mad that I couldn't use the sandevistan, and after reaching a certain point, I just had enough and decided to restart the game and see if that would fix it. And lo and behold, it worked, and I could finally become David Martinez. I tried using a samurai sword with the sandevistan, but it was sucking ass, so I just stuck with using my fist. The next mission had me and Jackie try to obtain a chip, and as you know, it went horribly wrong. When it came to escaping at first, I was just sneak killing enemies, and it was all good until someone far off in the distance spotted me, so I had to give them these hands. When the giant robot dropped in, instead of fighting it, I went to the elevator and waited on Jackie's slow ass to get there. Once we got to the garage, instead of fighting the guards, I used sandevistan to rush to the car and escape the area. I had to use a pistol while escaping to shoot the drone, but I had no other option. And after Takamura saved us from the scrapyard, I again built up my street cred by doing NCPD missions that had the very hard label. I completed these by sneaking by the guards, and before the meter could turn fully red, I would grab the items I needed from the case and use sandevistan to escape the area. Once I reached 20 street creds, I was able to get the gorilla arms. I decided to use it on these thugs just to see if they liked it, but I got no response back. After talking to the sex doll, I went upstairs to find the woodman, and I beat up his henchman in the process. Once I reached the woodman, we had a nice conversation that ended up with me killing him, so I had to get what I needed from his computer. As I was leaving, I killed some more of his henchmen just to show them how much I love their service. I then was on my way to visit the Ripper Doc Fingers when I met some of his guards outside. I said the wrong thing to them and we got into a tussle with me winning. After talking to Fingers, me and Judy went into a van to find Evelyn Parker. Once we found her in the brain dance, I rode with Judy and she dropped me off at this destination and I was ready to rip and tear. At this time, I had upgraded my sandevistan to Epic and couldn't wait to use it, only for it to not work when I wanted it to in combat. So I had to restart the game, redo the brain dance with Judy, and go back to the same area. And it still didn't work, but I said screw it and I continued on with the mission. I didn't do so bad for just fists alone, and even without the sandevistan, this part of the mission was a cakewalk. After saving Evelyn, after talking to Takamura, I went to visit Panam and helped her with her problems. I helped her get her car back by beating up the gang members that had it. Usually I would have just snuck around and quietly take the keys, but killing them with my fist was way more quicker. We then went to their hideout to kill them, and I was ready to kick some butt, so I turned on my sandevistan and began KOing everybody, only to die to a random explosion. After spawning back and killing the rest of the gang members, I was on my way to visit the Voodoo Boys. I met up with Placide, and he gave me a tour of the area. This is my third time hearing this speech, so I skipped a lot of the talk. I had to take out the animals at the mall. With dudes shooting from every corner, I had to do the old classic kill a few, then hide and heal up. After killing everybody, I fought Matilda, which was a piece of cake. then went on to beat up the Netwatch guy. I then helped the Voodoo Boys to find Alt, and after they helped me, I returned the favor by killing them all. I then went to meet up with Takamura, and we discussed how we were going to meet with Hanaka Arasaka at the parade. We needed to hack the float, so we had to travel to this base, and I had to reach the computer in order to access it. I usually go to the sneak route, but I had epic gorilla arms and epic sandevistan, so I immediately beat up the first guard that I saw, which alerted the other guards near me, but they were no match for my fury. I went inside and I annihilated everybody in there, which was a lot easier than I thought. After getting the information to hack the float, I was on my way to meeting with Panem. I had to help Panem take down this AV, and everything was going well until some of our Aldecado buddies decided to help out. After reaching the crash zone, we realized all of them were dead, except for Mitch, so I had to kill everybody, which wasn't hard because I'm a tank. I had to use a gun to kill the pilot because I had no other choice, and then we were on our way to find Hellman. As we arrived at this one area, I killed everybody that was shooting at me, and as I was leaving, I crashed my motorcycle, which for some reason made it undrivable. Since I had no other vehicle, I decided just to run all the way to my destination. Once I arrived, I wanted to see if my sandevistan was going to work, and what do you know, it wasn't working. After restarting the game, I checked to see if the sandevistan was working again, and it was this time. I made sure to take care of the sniper guy at the top, which is pretty badass. I then took care of the guys in the machines that were inside. Then finally captured Hellman and brought him to Takamura. Me and Takamura had to execute our plan of meeting up with Hanako. And before Takamura could enter the float, I had to take out 3 snipers. I was trying to be badass and use sandevistan to kill the first guard, but I messed that up, so I just went for the sneak kill. Taking out the second sniper was not hard. When trying to kill the third sniper, I had to be careful not to set off the explosives, so I just went on the other side, turned on sandevistan, and beat the shit out of him. I decided to spare Sandeyu since it was so easy. After Takamura captured Hanako Arasaka, we took her to this building to tell her the truth when we were ambushed by the search group. Since I had a jump boost, I wanted to see if I could save Takamura, and it turns out I could, and me and him fought our way out. When it came to deciding which ending I wanted, I decided to go with helping Rogue take down Arasaka. After finding her, I had to help her find Adam Smasher. We ended up at this base, and instead of sneaking around, I just went out the gates fighting everybody. I then killed this guy because he was no help, and then I was on my way to a date with Rogue. All I had to do was pick her up at the afterlife. Pretty simple. I pulled up to the afterlife in my motorcycle, said hello to her, turned around, and my bicycle was gone. I figured it disappeared because I needed a car for this mission, but I didn't have a car. So I did the respectable thing of stealing one and pulling up to Rogue. But after trying to leave with her, she didn't get in the car. But for some reason this guy did. I tried this repeatedly and it just kept happening. It seemed like it was hopeless until I looked on YouTube and figured it out. I had to kill the guy on the ship again, but I made sure to get the key to the crate so that I could get Johnny Silverhand's car. I pulled up during the daytime, and finally, it worked. I took her on a date to get some, but things got too serious and she left. Even though Rogue and I left on awkward terms, we still decided to team up and plan an assault on Arasaka. After getting our gear together, we were going to fly over to Arasaka, and as soon as we got close to the building, they started firing rockets at us, and we had a crash landing. As soon as I was back on my feet, I was ready to kick some butt. I killed the commander, and we were on our way to connect Alt to the system. We had to fight our way through waves of guards, but they weren't really that hard, and as soon as we connected Alt to the system, my last enemy was Adam Smasher, and boy did he make an appearance. He ended up killing Rogue, so me and Waylon had to team up and kill him. To sum up the fight, I did a whole lot of damage at the beginning, but then he ran away. I had to chase him up the second floor and kill his goons, and then I would do a lot of damage again, but then he would run away. After this, he would make his way to the center, and this is where I dealt my deadly blows. It felt so good to beat him, and not only avenge Johnny, but David as well. I took one last look at him before I dealt my final blow.